Hi, I am Amit, international rated player and a chess coach. Today we are going to see general principles of opening along with the king pawn opening. Now the real name of the king pawn opening is Gaico piano canal variation, but to keep it simple we'll say as king pawn opening. Now there are four general principles of opening. The very first principle says that center control. You should control the four center squares, namely e4, e5, d4 and d5. The second principle says that you should do the development. Development means getting all your pieces out in the game except king. Obviously you should not get your king out or else you will be checkmated. The third principle says that you should avoid premature development of queen. That means you should not get your queen out too early in the game, because queen is a very soft target for your opponent. Like say a small pieces like knight or bishop can attack the queen and you cannot exchange your queen for a single bishop or a single knight. And the last principle says that you should avoid moving same pieces again and again. Now let us see practically how to apply these principles and how to play the king pawn opening. White plays e4. Now this e4 move is controlling one of the center squares, that is the d5 square, as well as we are opening up the diagonal of this bishop so that we can develop that bishop. Development means getting all your pieces out. Black plays e5. Now there are various replies, like black can play e6, black can play c6, black can play c5. There are many possibilities, but we are going to look towards e5. Now the basic purpose, the basic reason behind playing e5 is to stop d4. Yes, and still if white is going to play d4, then it is not considered as to be that good move, because after this capture pawn into pawn and then queen into pawn, white is breaking the third rule, which says that you should avoid premature development of queen. And you can just see, like after nc6, black will develop one piece and he'll attack your queen, so you need to move this queen again in the game. And due to this you will again break the fourth principle, which is by force, that you should not move same pieces again and again. So in order to avoid all these things, black plays knight f3. Now knight f3 is again controlling the center squares, as well as it is attacking the e5 pawn. Okay, now black has various defenses. In order to defend this e5 pawn, black can play knight c6, which is the correct option, but there are more possibilities, like he can play d6, he can play bishop a6, he can even play queen e7. Now what is the problem with all these moves except knight c6? Knight c6 is the correct one. d6 move, yes, this is defending the pawn, but now it is also blockading the diagonal of the bishop, which is on f8. So this bishop would not be developed effectively. Now bishop d6, you'll wonder, like, yes, this move is controlling the center, it is developing a bishop. Developing means getting your pieces out, as well as it is controlling a center square. So what is the problem with this move? Just think for a moment. Yes, after bishop d6 you can't move this d6 pawn, because of which this bishop which is on c8 cannot be developed effectively. And the last option, queen e7. Again, queen e7 is controlling one of the center square, as well as it is defending the e5 pawn, but this is breaking the third principle, which says that you should avoid premature development of queen. So black plays knight c6. Now this is a multi-purpose move, because it is controlling the center, it is defending the e5 pawn, and it is also doing the development of a piece, that is he is developing his knight. Next move, white plays bishop c4. Now how I decided, like there was there were various options, like I can put my bishop on e2, but if I'll put my bishop on e2, yes, it will not control the center square. If I'll put my bishop on d3, yes, it is controlling the center square. It is doing development, but it is also blockading the c1 bishop, as I can't play d3. And bishop c4, here it is controlling the center square, as well as we are developing a bishop, and we are vacating the squares between the king and rook, such that whenever it is required we can castle. Now black plays same, bishop c5. Okay, now it is white's turn. Which is the piece which can directly come out, or we can develop directly, as well as we can control the center? The knight, correct, the knight. We can play knight c3. Those who have guessed knight c3, that is the correct answer. Knight c3 is controlling the center squares, as well as we are developing a piece. Black plays knight f6. Now white still needs to develop his bishop, which is on c1. So in order to develop that bishop, we'll play d3, such that we'll open up the diagonal of the bishop which is on c1. Black plays d6. Now we need to develop this bishop, but the question is where to keep it. Yes, we'll keep it on the g5 square, because here we are pinning the knight which is on f6. Now there are two kinds of pin, the absolute pin and the relative pin. This is the relative one. So we are pinning this knight. Now you'll be wondering, like, what happens if he'll move this knight? If black moves this knight, then white can directly capture his queen, and white will be in a winning position. So black should obviously not move the knight which is on f6. And the best reply for black over here is bishop on e6. He will break the symmetry, he will not play the same moves, and he will play bishop e6, because it is controlling the very important square, the d5 square. Now say for example, he is not playing bishop e6 and he will play the general looking move castle, but castle here is a mistake, because after castle white plays n d5 and he will increase the attack on the pinned piece. Now like say black plays anything, say for example he plays rook e8. Now white will play bishop into f6. Queen can't capture it because knight is supporting, so black has to capture with the pawn, as we have captured his piece, so he has to recapture that piece again. G into f6, and now we can say that white is slightly better. The reason is black is having a double pawn, which is bad in the end game, this f7 and f6 pawn. Another thing is the king is exposed, so his king is also vulnerable for attack, and this h7 pawn is the isolated pawn, which will again be bad in the end game. So in order to avoid all these things, black should not castle and he should play bishop e6, which is the correct move. Now here n d5 will not work, because just I will play n d5 and black will capture that knight with his bishop, because this bishop is controlling the d5 square. So this is all about the king pawn opening. See you in the next video. Bye.